So when I got home Monday afternoon, my son took me to task, Caleb Piles. He was not happy with the things I had said on FloWrestling Radio Live, the show we do Mondays and Thursdays at 11 Eastern, little plug there. He wasn't happy with what I said about Spencer Lee and you know, the likelihood of him winning an Olympic gold medal. And now, you know, I'm defending myself to a now 13-year-old who has a lot of ideas and a lot of, you know, they think they know a lot at 13. And maybe he's onto something, though. And you look at Spencer Lee's performances, and I did leave with the conclusion, this guy can absolutely be the Olympic champion this year at 57 kilograms. How do you watch what he did in his last two matches to world-level guys? The Kazakhstan guy just beat a world silver medalist the round before. And he beat him like it was round one of the U.S. Open, right? Like it was, you know, round one of the UNI Open. I mean, Spencer's matches, that's a funny thing about Spencer. You watch him against, you know, a fringe starting D1 guy, or you watch him against maybe the fifth best guy in the world, the matches look almost identical because once he gets on top, he ends it. He almost always ends it. It's insane, and these guys, these great wrestlers, look powerless to stop it. And so you can't watch that and say, this is totally different. This is something that no one in the world possesses. No one in the world, regardless of weight class, certainly at 57, has this kind of knockout punch, has this kind of ability to go from down 5 to up 4, you know? We've seen Spencer do that. And so what Caleb, my son, took issue with is I said, I think he's maybe the third or fourth most likely guy for Team USA to win Olympic gold. Now, I put him behind Kyle Dake, who, if he solves the Sidakov thing, it feels like that's the only guy he has to beat to do it. And you watch that finals match, there's opportunity for him to do so. You look at Aaron Brooks, who just dethroned the pound-for-pound #1 wrestler in the world, David Taylor, not the country, the world, David Taylor, who's had a stranglehold on 86 kilograms for years now. David Taylor was 65-1 since 2018. He's not in college wrestling. He's not high school wrestling. This is the best of the best, the senior level at an Olympic weight, 86 kilos. And David was not just basically unbeatable, he was dominant, right? And Aaron Brooks beat that guy, and he beat him twice. And that, to me, is a status that says, hey, you're in the driver's seat to do this, and you can beat a Yazdani who's been battling injury, who's in a dogfight to make this team. Maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse with Aaron Brooks, but I think he's got a great chance. And then, you know, now that your next most likely guy is either Kyle Snyder, who I watched win an Olympic title, who I've watched win 4 world titles. Yeah, that's what I think. Maybe he's done it before, he could do it again. And then I think there's Spencer's in there. Maybe he's ahead of Kyle. Maybe he's behind. Maybe he's the most likely. Maybe you think that, and I don't think that's crazy either. But here's the secondary thing that gives me pause. The only other thing. You can look at the brilliance of his wins, and you could say, who's going to beat this guy? The conclusion could be nobody. But this weight, and I maybe disagree with Kozak a little bit. He's the international expert, so I defer to him generally. But I think when you have a weight that has the reigning world champion, Stefan Micic, you've got a world champion, Rei Higuchi, you've got an Olympic champion, Ugoyev, you've got a world champion, Abakarov, and you've got a host of other really, really tough wrestlers. I mean, that's 4 right there. World champion or Olympic champion level wrestlers. And then you got Abdullayev, a really tough guy from Uzbekistan. This is a tough, and you have the Chinese guy, Zhao. We just watched him push Spencer Lee to the brink. So you can't look at the great without taking into part, and it's as always with Spencer, and as always with the best of the best, there's nothing but nits to pick. It's just a little things, but little things win and lose world and Olympic titles. One finish is the only thing that separates David Taylor and Aaron Brooks. One finish is the only thing that separates David Taylor from being unbeaten from 2018 right up until the Olympic trials. Just one finish against Yazdani. You know, one finish for Jordan Burroughs. On and on and on. You know? one defense from Kyle Dake, and he's the world champion, not Zauerbach Sidikov. And so when it's just the little things, well, I'll observe them and talk about them. And if Spencer is assertive on his feet defensively with his head hands, I think Zal doesn't get those easy. They look easy, but this is a guy that's exploding from space and firing really, really strong leg attacks and finishing on it. If you haven't seen the match yet, look it up. It was a great match, and Spencer had to come back, down 6-1. He gets to that single, transitions to the lace, and he puts up a quick 10 points, and he's able to hang on for the win. But Zhao is not a world beater. We have not seen that yet. This guy was 5th in the world. This guy lost handily to Dayton Fix and Thomas Gilman, right? So this is not a win over a world champion. This is a guy that doesn't have a world medal at this point in time. So notable, right? He can dominate the elite, but guys that are maybe not on that level will struggle. Now, the question is, where does he stack against the Aguievs, the Micic, Abakarov, Higuchi? That's the question. And so many, those are all dream matchups to watch Spencer Lee against these guys. And to win an Olympic medal, he's probably going to have to beat at least 2 of them, right? They're not all going to be in this path, but some of them will be. And so the question is, can he get on top? And that's the big thing. And that's what has me coming back to Spencer is going to be the Olympic champion. Who doesn't Spencer Lee take down? Basically nobody. He takes down everyone. Who doesn't he turn? Basically nobody. He turns them all. He can turn everyone. And there's not anyone else in the world at 57 kilograms that you can say, when this guy gets a takedown, he's getting a turn. There's some, he might, he could, but it's very rare. And it's really low confidence. And at this level, it becomes even rarer that you see these turns. And it takes a really, really special individual. And it feels like the stars are just now aligning for Spencer, right? 2021, he's rolling. He's on fire. He tears his other ACL, goes into NCAAs, wins NCAAs with no ACLs. But that set him back. And it set him back a while because then he didn't get surgery. And then they're like, okay, they waited 6-8 months. And then they're like, all right, you do need to get surgery. And then he gets surgery, and that kind of set him back a little bit. But now he's rounding into form. And think of what we've seen from Spencer since he's re-entered the senior level. He had the U.S. Open last year. Okay, throw that out. But he goes to Bill Farrell, wins, dominates. He goes to Senior Nationals, wins, dominates. Pan Am's, dominates. Then he comes here, Tech, a lot of dominant wins. And so now it feels like, I didn't even mention trials, where he beats the reigning world team member in Zane Richards, a guy we watched beat Thomas Gilman twice. And then he beats Thomas Gilman twice, someone who's super familiar with Spencer, someone who has been the most successful 57 kilogram we've had since Henry Cejudo, right? This guy's a world champion. He's an Olympic bronze medalist, multiple world medalists from 2017 up to last year. And the performance we saw from Gilman, he had to beat some good guys. He had to beat a Dayton Fix, and he kind of beat him soundly, right? To get there. So what I've said, and I've consistently said, Spencer Lee beat a world-class Thomas Gilman. It wasn't the Thomas Gilman we saw at Final X last year, right? This was all the way feeling good, looking good Thomas Gilman. And that's got to give you some confidence. Then you see him win some more a couple weeks later to qualify this weight, which was not qualified going into it. And it gives you all the more confidence. And I'm left after I look at all this and I watch the tournaments and I look at the field, and I'm kind of left with the conclusion of my 13-year-old son. Yeah, maybe I was wrong. Maybe Spencer Lee is just going to be that guy, and he is going to have a legendary run at the Olympics in Paris, his mother's home country, and all that goes with that. This guy's won a junior world title in France. And it does feel like destiny. It does feel like it's going to be Spencer's time. And the one thing I'll say, and the last thing I'll say, a couple more months of training, of focus, of him being the guy, and by the time Paris rolls around, he's going to be an absolute monster. So I'll say it right now, Caleb, I might have been wrong on this one.